Tina, we started on Tuesday, and we started on the Propel Weekly in during Breakfast with Champions. What's kind of fun, by the way, with this, I'm in uh, what's called the historic Georgetown Square, so it's light out, and people are walking by. I almost want to wave to them, but so it's kind of fun to do it here versus in my studio. But anyhow. We started Tuesday speaking about you, my friend, about young Tina. And young Tina, the just ever ready bunny, just mom, was saying, let's keep this girl busy, let's keep her engaged, let's introduce her to things. So through, a myriad of things of dance, and you played the trumpet and the, what do you call it, the flute, and somebody's walking by with balloons. But anyhow, you were such a focused young lady of doing things with excellence. So one of the things I wanted to share with you, by the way, we normally have a music intro, and I forget the name of the group actually, but it's a woman and man singing "Hello Hope, Hello Joy, Hello Peace," basically the fruits of the Holy Spirit. It's a fairly popular song in the Christian community, but are probably very well known in the Christian community, but it's about that, Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and it will be given unto you. And I bring that up because we didn't do the intro, hello hope, hello joy, hello peace, hello strength. It says it's a new horizon. That's really the words of the song. And to me, all of that is an inside job. It's going within. And so as you have been through many, many things in your life, very positive as well as tragedy and heartbreak. But I was listening to Pedro Adao today, Tina. And Pedro, for you guys who do not know, he has the 100X movement. And he does Proverbs every day. I listen to him every morning or whenever I can listen to the replay. And one of the things that he said today, Tina, which I would like to really bring to our conversation and then bring it back to your life, is that you are now doing a lot of coaching, physical fitness, but also business building. And one of the things he said is that a teacher, a mentor, if they haven't paid the price, they really are just a guru, or they're just speaking, he didn't say this, I'm saying this. They're speaking just from maybe what wannabe of what they want to do.
Exactly.
But the other interesting piece that he said is that to be a mentor or a teacher, of other people, that you have to pay the price, that you have to stand on the landmines. Oh boy, have we stood on landmines. And that the individual, having you or I or other people like us as mentors, they inherit the breakthrough. I loved that.
Yes,
They
yes.
inherit the breakthrough because we are pouring into them from our field of favor, yes, but meaning what our, I'm not you and you're not me, so our field of favor and our backgrounds and our experiences, but we both have stood on landmines. And that, I love it. That our mentee inherits that breakthrough. So what I'd like to ask you in reference to that is, how would you, because we didn't go here on Tuesday, and people who weren't with us on Tuesday, you can go back and listen to the replay on Breakfast with Champions. But how would you, Tina, share with our guests that, understanding, you had major motivation to continue on doing many things, which have led you, I call it evolving, led you to next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. But how would you equate your landmines and that basically, as he was saying, that you've paid the price, and dearly you've paid the price. But
Definitely.
standing on those landmines, how does it enrich your teaching and your work?
So thank you again, Megan, for having me on your show. Hi there, Aisha, for watching. So I am Tina, otherwise known as Stars Tina, and you talk about the landmines, and for me, it's all about going through the traumatides. A traumedy is when the energies of a trauma and a tragedy collide. And when these two energies come together, life changing experiences occur. And we all know that everyone goes through some type of trauma or tragedy, right? It could be the loss of a loved one, it could be losing a job, maybe empty nest syndrome. It could be big, it could be little, but they're all something that affect us, right? So I speak from experience or from what my clients have gone through. And you mentioned business because a lot of people don't know that, yes, I do business coaching and it came from my personal experience. You know, I started in the fitness field as a fitness professional because I was overweight and I was like, I got to lose weight. And then I lost 50, 60 pounds. And then I realized it was deeper than that, Megan. I needed more. And then once I peeled away the onion and really figured out why I was doing it, it was because my father passed away at the age of 49. I was very close to my father. My grandmother died at a very young age. And then I was thinking about other people, family members or people I saw, and like, why are people dying from high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, overweight, things that can be changed? So that was my major, traumedy right there, losing the family members and then losing my son. That was the height. So from all these things is where I actually started my program, Meg. I call it Mind, Body, and Soul Awakening, because God put me through all these traumatides in my life, which made me stronger. You know, I got these scars. These scars are now like, that's what made me who I am. So when I'm sharing from experience, and the love and the joy. And like you said, being here and being able to help other people, it just makes me realize, well, you know what, Tina? Your dad died at 49, and I look at the goodness in it so that I can help someone else, because he never even thought he would live that long. His father died in his 30s, so for him to get to 49, he was excited about that. So I was like, I have to push through. So for all the people that I coach, that I train, I don't want you to have to go through what I went through, especially when it comes to business, right? Last year, Angelina and I did an event, Elevate Your Business. I think you were one of our speakers, Meg. And I wanted to share with people all this stuff that I learned, because why should you take 5 years to do something that could have been 1 year? And this year we're doing it again because I believe what you put out into the world, you're going to get back. So standing on top of that landmine, as you would say, it's like, hey, don't do that. Don't do that. And then you have those people, Meg, that are stubborn. They're like, they think they know it all. They want to do their own thing. Well, that's great. I actually had someone reach out to me the other day, and they were just like, well, Tina, I'm not into that mental health stuff. I don't want to get into my feelings. I was just like, that's okay if that works for you. So, I have to only speak from my experience. I hope I answered your question, Meg.
Sure. No, it's not just, my question, but I want people to hear you and your heart and what you're doing and why you're doing it. And you shared the why, meaning that family history, you wanted to break that cycle of that family history, not only for yourself, but also for other people that you love and care about. And then that has evolved to the business that you're building, which is all important. But you just hit on something very pivotal, actually. A person saying, well, I don't want to get into all that mind stuff, Well, unfortunately, the brain is so porous, and it doesn't really care what you say, positively or negatively. It's just absorbing what you're saying. So what you put in comes out. Thoughts are things. And so it's imperative to understand that. So, on some level, I'm sure you'll circle back with this individual in a, in a different way, but to help her understand that, because it's so key. Because one of the things of the Propel program of the 5 C's, clarity, courage, confidence, commitment, and compassion, is that people have to, there has to, like you just said about your why, meaning it's gaining that clarity. Clarity leads to power. If you don't know why the hell would you do anything? mean, you wouldn't, you know?
Exactly,
You know, I
exactly.
mean, I'm an esthetician. I've been an esthetician for 30, I don't know, whatever, 6 years maybe. And I always do a consult, Tina, with the individual. And I've trained my gals this way with the master's program. And because how many places or how many times have you had a facial and you might say, oh, I want the blah, blah, blah. And it might not be what you really need, but they do the blah, blah, blah because you've asked for that. Well, I do the intake, yeah, you fill out an intake form, right? And that intake form, I couldn't even do a facial if I didn't have the information, meaning what products are you currently using? What are your challenges? Are you on medication? A myriad of things to give you the roadmap, And so like this gal that said what she said, she doesn't really know at this moment, but you're going to help her do that to understand that all that stuff is holding her back from gaining the results that she wants. It's so key. This week, I'm sure you've been listening to Heather Parody filling in for Glenn, and I've just been loving her segments and, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey. And if our folks who, may not be familiar with it, Stephen Covey is no longer with us, but back in the day, I wouldn't say he was a Zig Ziglar or Tony Robbins, but his material was very effective. And I remember going to a conference for the beauty manufacturer conference, and he was the keynote speaker, actually. And so with that said, the first habit for highly effective people, according to Stephen Covey, is to be proactive.
Mm.
But the other thing that Heather pulled out, extracted from his speaking, was that she had played an interview of some guy interviewing him. And the guy asked him something like, what do you think, Stephen, of nurture versus nature? Meaning, like you said about your dad and your grandmother and your, family. And, that was your why of getting into fitness, to losing weight initially and then into fitness. But I'm going to share with what he said. And then I would love to hear what you have to say. He said neither. He said it very, very, very vociferously, very firmly. Neither, like that. It's choice. And I'll repeat, his number one habit for highly effective people, 7 habits rather, is being proactive. But I thought that was fascinating, that nurture nature, because we all have that nurture nature. We do. You were born with a very, very, curious and active and wanting to know everything. I kind of was the same kid. I was the one that put on the lemonade stands and the plays and got the kids, pretty much the older kids together. But kind of the Our Gang comedy neighborhood is how I grew up, Freeport, Long Island. But what would you say about nurture nature and proactivity?
So it's funny that you say that. I remember living in Newark, New Jersey was not a good area when I was in high school. And I always thought about nature nurture. I would ask everyone that question because where I lived, it was not a good area. A lot of drug dealers. It was not healthy.
Right.
And I remember there was someone who was a mayor's son there was a high-end person. And he came from he went to private school, like everything you could think of was the best. And he still ended up selling drugs, ending up in jail. And I was just like, couldn't quite understand that. And then you have someone again who may live in a rich area, Caucasian, just beautiful home, and the same thing happens. And then the total opposite. You have someone like an Eric Thomas or someone, who Lisa Nichols, my favorites, who came from nothing and then brought something out of it. So what your person said neither. When you were saying it, I was just like, no, I was going to say both of them. So I think I'm going to stick with the both of them. He said none of them. I'm going to say both of them because for me, it's a combination of them all. And can you repeat again the other thing that he said?
Well, what he said was very, very firmly to the guy. He said, neither. It's choice.
Choice. Yes, I wanted to talk about choice. So I 1,000% agree with that choice because all the clients that I get, they'll say, well, I want to do such and such. I'm like, okay, well, this is what you have to do. 1+1 is 2. It's always going to be 2, no matter what. So if you want to be successful, guess what? You got to do the work. You got to exercise. You got to eat clean. That it's rules. If you don't do that, guess what? It's not going to happen. So it is your choice. And I believe with a little bit of faith, a lot of bit of faith.
Yeah, right.
Because that's what I need sometimes, with that faith. And you want to hear something really wild, Megan?
Please.
Years ago, because, it's been 7 years that my son's been gone, my relationship with God was kind of like this. I was like mad at him, some days. And the faith was there. It was just not totally there. And I always say, God brings people into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And I think back last year, I had a whole circle of people around me, and they were not in the same circle anymore. And I love the fact that when you have those 5 people around you, you do the same thing, make the same type of money, that whole thing. If people aren't where you want them to be, if your vibe is your tribe, right? They're automatically going to fall by the wayside. So those people fell by the wayside. And all of my people now, like Angelina, I'm going to say she was the first one. Every single person is like super, super, I don't want to say religious because, but faith. And I was low key fighting it, Meg. I really was. There was the first event I went to, and I only went to because Glenn Lundy was there. It was called Grow for God Conference.
Right.
And at first I was like, oh, that's just their way to get more people to come out. Honestly, that's what I thought in my head. And then I went to the conference and it was great. Then the following year I went again. And I was a little bit like, okay, maybe whatever. And then just being around Angelina, she's so cute. She's like, I love Jesus, but I'm super cool or whatever. And ever since I've really, really been super intentional about my faith, about praying, things are really blossoming for my personal life, for my business, and all I can. And it's weird. It's like, my God, is it awesome? No, but
You don't want me to sing, that's for dang sure. But I was thrown out of choir in 4th grade, so was not my highlight. But you're right, and the thing, I'm so joyful, honestly, that you shared that because first off, religion is a group, it's a church. That's not Jesus. That's a structure. We are spirits, all spirits, having a human experience. End of story. And so, I don't have any answers, and I'm not going to go here tonight. We'll talk amongst ourselves, but I don't know, and we will not know until we go to heaven. We won't. Why it happened with your son. We won't. But you did infer a teeny bit earlier that through that trauma and tragedy, you're creating this platform that is going to help many millions of people and over your lifetime. And so it's incumbent upon us to truly not. I'll just share this one little piece, and this is not a tit for tat with your son or anything, but I was at the 11th hour for this move this afternoon, and my mover called me and said he couldn't come back. OMG. So I just he said, well, I'll come by 5. Well, that 5 is too late for so many reasons. So I just rolled these sleeves up. It's 100 degrees and very humid now. Crazy. But I was taking trash. We were out of the house, but this is the garage. And I was taking the trash to the dumpsters. And all of a sudden I walked back and my door was open. And this guy who I've met one time very casually has a garage next to mine. And he said, and I was pulling my cart back. I had one of those wagon things. And I could barely breathe because I was so exhausted and so hot, and I was doing this like for hours. And I walked back, Tina, and the garage door was open, and he said, "What are you going to do with those shelves? Can I buy them?" I said, "Can I sit down?" And he pulls out an office chair, like one of the big leather back things out of his garage. I sit down, I do this, and I kind of get my, breath back. And I said, "Yes, I'm moving. I have to be out of here in 2 hours max. You want those?" And he said, "Yes, they would help me a lot." I said, "Well, sure." But there was other stuff. And the mover was going to take them to my home, my new home, and to this antique mall that I'm opening up. That's a whole other story. But as we're doing this and plotting a plan, and he's going to move things around in the garage, so my stuff that we're not going to get anywhere other than out of my garage into his. And I'm like, oh my God. Now it's like after 3, it's like 3:30 maybe, 24. And so we've got this plan. I got one last load now to take to the dumpster, pull my thing down, but I have hope and possibilities. And I come back and I said, "Thank you so much. What is your name?" His name is Israel. And I like, God, you have such a way. I mean, I wanted to say a sense of humor, but it's deeper than that, Tina. God is always showing us him. It's us that are putting up the walls. Do you know? And so when we finished, boo-ba-doo-ba-doo, I helped him move, I didn't do much after that point. But then I said, "Okay, can I go?" Because I had to bring things back to this office. It was a townhome community. And because I had overstayed my welcome 2 days. Oh, yeah. I mean, they're going to charge me, but they were not happy with me. We're not. There's a backstory of why this happened. Pointless here. The point is God was showing me that I didn't freak out. I trusted. I did. I knew it was going to work itself out, Tina. And he had that angel. That guy had swim trunks on and bare feet, by the way. He had just come from the pool. It's hot here. And swim trunks and bare feet. And he took over. And his name is Israel. Yeah. So it's just, he is always there, my friend. Always. And like you said about praying, that's just a conversation, right?
Uh-huh.
God's always a conversation away. I forget who said that. But okay, the second thing of Stephen Covey is, and this is kind of an interesting one, Tina. And by the way, I'm so new in my little place here. I don't even have a clock. I have no clue what time it is. What time is it?
We are 28 minutes in.
Okay, so in a couple minutes, we're going to open the door to our guests. I would love to ask you the second habit. And by the way, be proactive is pretty up Glenn Lundy's alley there. It's how you start your day, the 5, structures of the morning 5. So be proactive. I mean, if you didn't get up in the morning and start your day, right? That's quite proactive. The second, though, is begin with the end in mind. That's kind of what I would say, my friend, kind of visualization. Begin with the end in mind. And if you listen to Stephen, he expounds upon that, about see it, write it down, journal it, know what you want. Begin with the end in mind. What would you say to that?
It's vision board. So 10 years ago, it's actually been 10 years, I was invited to my very first vision board. Someone that I went to high school with. She's like, "Tina, you got to come." I had no idea what it was. I get there, she's got these posters and papers, and she was a school teacher at the time, and it was a bunch of ladies. And at that time, I didn't have that many girlfriends. And this was weird to me. It was like a bunch of women writing down what they want to do, what they want to get. She had this wonderful spiel. And on my vision board, I put pictures of women because I was like, you know what? I want a tribe of women, of friends, people that I can relate with that are on the same wavelength. That was my first experience with the vision board. Every year, I've been doing vision boards. And I always share my biggest aha with vision boards. We usually do them in December. My daughter and my mother, right before the new year. And we are cutting out pictures. And my daughter is a professional dancer, fitness instructor, everything with that. And she's looking in a health magazine. And then she starts screaming. And I'm like, what? And she's like, I'm looking in a magazine for a picture that I want to be in. And I'm already in the magazine. She was in the magazine already, Meg, and she was
Wow.
visualizing to be in it. I said, girl, your goals are not big enough. And I think that's what happens in life is we don't think big enough. So when you
Yes.
talk about seeing the end result, my end results, I want to be at Madison Square Garden with my tribe of ladies changing the world. No more traumedy. That is the name of my book. I want to really impact the world with showing people that even though you had crap happen to you, guess what? There is a light at the end of the tunnel because all of us have trauma, right? And it's not just my trauma. It's all that stuff behind us, our mother, our father, their mother and fathers, their father, like 7 generations behind us. So you have to put in the work, and that is why I wrote my book. I actually have a book coming out October 28th. Not sure if you know, Meg. It's called No More Traumedy. I have some co-writers with me because it's a little bit of the experience of my story. And then in the back, which is the best part, there are tools and strategies, about 20 of them, of how to push through any type of trauma or tragedy. And anyone who pre-orders the book now, and I think Renee put a link in there, when you order the book now, you're going to get a free course. And I made this course, Meg, for people who've gone through something and they want to share their story, because there's so much peace when you share your story. And the only thing is you got to share it from the mountaintop and not from the valley. And I realized I'm not a doctor. I'm not a professional. Aisha right there, she's one of the co-writers. I have Dr. Dale. She's one of the co-writers. And of course, I had my daughter in there. And my vision, like I said, is to just change the world and show the greatness. So I see it, I feel it, I'm embracing it, and I'm just having that faith, and I always tell anyone that I speak to, if you have an idea in your head, I don't care how ridiculous it sounds. If you have the thought in your head, God put it there and he can make it come true. And I'm going to end with saying, when my son told me, he's in high school, 18 years old, he's like, Mom, I'm going to open a sneaker store. And I was like, what are you talking about? My son is a Leo. I'm not going to say stubborn. He's just like, And I knew I couldn't fight him on anything. So he got a sneaker store when he was 18 years old. And that one failed. And then he got another one. And the second one thrived. He even had the opportunity to open up a second one in Philly. So he had 2 successful sneaker boutique stores before he was murdered. And today, Meg, that is why I push so hard, because I'm like, yo, his death had to mean something. It had to be for a purpose. So that's why I'm pushing. And the future I see is just great for anyone who's in my little tribe. So that's how I feel about visualization, Meg.
And so that is a wonderful way to sum up and tie together, begin with the end in mind. You just said this Napoleon Hill quote, basically, whatever the mind of man can see and believe, it can achieve. So whatever the mind, again, that mind, it can take in or not.
Yes, yes.
Thoughts are
and it can be scary too. I have to tell you, when I got the idea of the book, I was like, okay, at first it was just going to be like a little something, and then it started getting deeper.
Right.
And then I was thinking, well, Tina, who are you to write a book? And that's why I reached out. As I told you, I have Dr. Dale and I have Aisha, who are professional,
Yes.
professional psychiatrists,
Definitely.
psychologists, psychotherapists, something like that. You know what I'm trying to say.
The mind.
Yes, with the mind. She went to school for that because I wanted all of that in the book.
Yes, exactly. And that's,
So
again, you talk about your tribe and surrounding yourself. Again, as you hear, you're the 5, you're with that 5 most important people will create your life. It's about who you surround yourself with. And you said this earlier, meaning that edit. But, God will edit it. When it's time, like you said, a reason, a season, a lifetime. I don't worry about that stuff anymore. I used to, but that's why the next book, and I'll be in Madison Square Garden with you. It's never too early or too late to create the life of your dreams. And that's, my platform, because again, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going and evolving to what, God puts in my spirit. I'm a creative as you are, and we'll just continue to create, and it will evolve. That you can take to the bank. Your next book will evolve from there, but your programs and trainings will evolve as well. So it's there. It's yay, yay, yay. So October 28th. Is that what you said?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
October 28th. Yes, it can get on my website. IamStarsTina.com is where you can pre-order the book.
Wonderful.
So thank you.
Wonderful. Well, we'll keep promoting that. So I've seen some names and things. This is streamed into YouTube, LinkedIn, and back to the Propel Business Facebook group. So I don't see that well, but and this is kind of small. So Debbie, if you would open the door to our guests that are in the green room of StreamYard, that would be great. I mean, Tina and I will continue on. But
I think that is so cool how you can get the guests coming in and asking questions and all that wonderful stuff.
Yes, it is. And it's that, and every Thursday.
There's nobody in the green room at the moment.
There
All
is.
right, no worries.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Okay, well, but you know what happens, Tina? One of the people that come in often, pretty much every week, is Brian Coletto. And Brian generally does, do you know Brian from
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So Brian lives in Central Jersey. I made the mistake of saying something where he lived, and he said, no, I'm in Central Jersey. Okay, whatever. But
well, that's because New Jersey, they'll say central, and it's really not. Some people say that's northern, it's southern. It's just Jersey. Just leave it at Jersey.
That's kind of my attitude as well. But anyway, he's very involved. He does chamber meetings and rotaries and all sorts of stuff. So, but he generally comes in about quarter of, 10. You started at 8, so quarter of 9. Anyway, so let's continue. One of the things that Stephen Covey, and by the way, one of the things I mean, she'll never watch this and never see this, but I have so enjoyed listening to Heather on, the Rise and Grind, because you mentioned this earlier, like Dr. Dale. She went to college I don't think she got her doctorate. I don't think so. Or she'd be Dr. Heather, but she got a degree in psychology. And she was on my Unique Leaders back in, a couple of years ago, but she was a therapist. She was. And so as she bills herself, a therapist, a past therapist who is an entrepreneur who wants to be a comedian, and so she has those like that, see the end in sight, right? And she sees that, she wants that. So if you listen to her, and that's why I just listen to people about, what they say and how they say things. And she's got such a bright spirit about her. It's that humor and intellect. But one of the things that Stephen Covey said was number 7. So jumping from the first 3 to 7 is sharpen the saw. So before I was opening to our guests, sharpen the saw. I thought that, I've heard that before from him, but I've been pondering it, knowing that I was going to use this material tonight with you because you're such a smarty pants. Wanted to, just have some mind-provoking thoughts and ideas. But what does that mean to you? Sharpen the saw.
When I hear sharpen the saw, for me, that makes me think of education, training, coaching, meaning getting all the training and coaching. And last year I made a plan because the prior year, which was 2021, I had an amazing year. It was right after COVID. I know most people didn't have a good 2020. My 2020 was pretty cool because my daughter was here, my mom, like we were all in the same house, and we haven't had that in years. So 2021, I achieved so many goals, and I was like, oh my gosh, how did I do this? I was literally scared for the next year, Meg, because I was like, how am I going to top that? I did all that great stuff. So I actually wrote an ebook so I could remind myself of how I did it. And in case anyone else wants to, it's an ebook. It's on my website. It's called Rituals and Routines to a Wonderful Life, because I had morning rituals, I had evening rituals. I did them, strictly. And I said, all right, so next year, which was last year, I said, I'm going to plant some seeds. And my planting of the seeds was going to events. I must have gone to an event at least twice a month, some in person, some online, but I was always at an event. I said I wanted to get into public speaking. I wanted to do a TEDx. I wanted to get my story out. Why did I want to get my story out? Because again, I wanted my son's death to be for a reason. My daughter and I, when it first happened, we were sharing his story on the news. They did a documentary on his story. Molly Gaines, sneakerhead. We won an Emmy Award because we shared his story. So I said, if I keep sharing, maybe someone will hear and they'll stop eating crazy and not die from high blood pressure or diabetes. Maybe that mom that's stuck in her house and doesn't want to leave the TV, she'll get up and go exercise and move her body. So my thing last year was training. So I did many coaching programs, training, meeting people like you, like Angeline. And the most important thing, we said it earlier, your vibe is your tribe, right? Who are you hanging out with? First of all, what time are you waking up in the morning? If you're waking up at 7, 8 o'clock, I'm not saying that you cannot be successful, but you gotta get up in the morning. You gotta have that energy, right? Challenge yourself, the 5-second rule. So putting in the work or whatever it is that you were saying, for me, that means training. And I still do that to this day. I can't expect other people to work with me and train with me if I haven't done it myself. Everything I'm doing is from experience. And if I don't know, I'm not going to sit there and try to pretend, this is how I'm going to answer it, Meg. Well, that's a great question. Let me get back to you. And then I'm going to pick up my phone, because this phone right here, I have so much contact in there that can get every and all answers. So that's what that means to me, Meg.
But the other piece that you said that is so important to highlight is that, and this goes back to people that listen to us, follow us, that they have to understand that we also have mentors. And that we have to continue, and that's essentially what you were saying, is that you continue to reach out to others, to learn, to grow. And even though you're a very accomplished individual and you continue to evolve and offer and add things to your businesses, but it is about being mentored yourself, because each step brings you to that other ladder. I love that Martin Luther King quote about, you don't have to look at the whole ladder, just the first couple of steps. Take that step. The second and third step will be revealed to you. And so, that's the beautiful thing about life. We don't have to figure it out. Right away. It's that sharpen that saw, build that relationship, build those, what you said, meaning everything you've done continues to build upon itself. And, I love going into the teaching, so to speak, of people like Stephen Covey. When you mentioned 20 and 21 and 22, someone I started a podcast in 20 because it was like, well, I'm not going to go dark. I had a luxury day in clinical medical spa. So the staff had to not be there. I said, so that Saturday, March 21st, the last day, I'm like, okay, kids, let's do a pop-up shop. And they were game, so Gigi, doing a peel, and Sarah putting lashes on in her bathroom, and, and so people, but it was a holy hell mess because I didn't know that you couldn't do that on Facebook. So, it just didn't work out. So, but
I love it. I believe we have someone in the green room. I think Brian is here with us.
Oh, there he is, Mr. Jersey. But anyway, the point is, hi, Brian, is that we basically figured it out and continued on. But during that season is when I reached out to Sharon Lechter, because when this individual knocked on my door literally and said, do you want to sell me your business? This is something I had built for 20 years. And so I knew I was heading into a whole new phase Tina. And I wanted to have a mentor. Over the years, I've done many, many things, but never one person like that. And it was a great experience. It truly was. And Brian, I want you to listen to this because I want to open this up to this. I used to end the Unique Leaders Live with this. Sharon in 3 Feet from Gold, which she wrote with Greg Reed, has her success formula. And it is your passion plus talent times association times action plus faith equals success. So
That's
passion,
a lot. That's like a trigonometry equation.
you know, when you look at it in 3 Feet from Gold, that is exactly what it looks like. It looks like Einstein's theory of relativity. But what I'm going to ask both of you, and this is how I ended the Unique Leaders. When you go back into YouTube and listen to them, I would give her the kudos, you know, of the success formula by Sharon Lechter, your passion plus talent. So I'm going, and so now we've talked about the vibe as a tribe and, you know, taking action. We talked about that, faith a little bit. But what is your passion and what is your talent, Ms. Tina?
Passion. My passion is fitness. I wake up, I want to move my body. It's been that way. My passion and what was the second one?
Talent. What is your talent?
Talent. My talent is my energy. Simple.
See, isn't that a blessing, Brian, that this young lady knows her passion and her talent? So, Brian Coletto, my champion, what is your passion and what is your talent?
Good evening, ladies. So my passion is helping pave the way for myself and others who have autism. And my talents, besides fitness, are doing videos and also traveling a bit within at least portions of central New Jersey.
So Brian lives not too far from Princeton, Tina, and so he does.
Oh, Princeton's gorgeous.
So he goes, as I shared earlier, because I kind of thought you'd pop in, Brian. And, you know, he does so many with meet and greets and supporting organizations in his neck of the woods. So, Brian, I'm sure that you know, if you've not met Tina Wilson, Stars Tina, before, do you have any questions you'd like to ask her?
Well, I have met Stars Tina before.
Good.
And my only question is, when could we, I possibly meet up? Because I'm like I mean, we don't have to talk about it here, but we're actually not too close.
Jersey. You know, I'm coming to Jersey next week. And I was talking to the ladies in the Mom Link, and I see you on Facebook, so I will connect with you. And let's meet up, because we had a meeting about you, believe it or not, because a lot of ladies are like, we want to be friends. So I'm going to definitely talk to them.
So the event that I'm part of the virtual piece next weekend, are men invited, Tina? Not really.
No, they don't really want men. I tried, I did, but you know, the Mom Link, they want to keep everything for women only. But I did speak to them, you know, because I think various reasons. One, the support of women, at least for me, I'm not going to say all women. It's good to have that man support there. And men need women, like, right? Didn't we get a rib? We have a rib from them or something from the Bible, right? Help me.
Adam's rib. Exactly.
Yeah. Megan, so when you asked, Brian helped me think about something a little deeper, because I very quickly, energy is my gift.
Yes.
My talent, but my talent is to motivate people, to inspire people. And that comes from my energy. So that's why when you said talent is my energy, and my energy sparks everything like a light, you have a fire and boom. Because no matter what I touch, again, it's not me, it's all God. It just kind of like manifests and it just grows. That's why I can't wait to meet Brian so I can get his ideas and pull them out.
And you said earlier, and Tuesday more so, that this is back to what we were talking about with Stephen Covey, nurture nature, meaning your God-given essence is that energy, and so that is part of you. Part of you. So Brian, you know that I am a champion of yours, and you know that I am trying to figure out the next step. Every time I think about it, Brian, then, coming a sharp right turn into the holidays, is that the right time? Different things, but we will put something together. I'm going to make sure that we do something. Would you come into the city, Brian?
New York City?
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
So,
not unless I had people with me,
okay,
because
okay,
I
that's
I don't
okay.
the
I'll
tolls are crazy
The
and the
train is
traffic is
easier
crazy.
though. The train is easy. There is this train straight from Princeton to New York, and it's cheaper, it's easier, it's quicker. You don't have to do anything. That's just an idea. I love New York. That's why.
Well,
Just an
Ramon
idea.
is having his conference in April, and I was thinking that would be, even if I picked you up and drove you in or something like that, you would come?
Yeah, yeah. As long as I don't have to orchestrate everything,
Sure,
because
sure.
I've never gone on a train on my own, and I live right outside of New York City. I'm in Edison, so not too far, I think, from where
Okay,
you
I know
used
where
to be,
Edison is.
Tina. Because I
Exactly.
think you
Edison,
were in
Broadway,
Rahway, right?
Woodbridge. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I think it's
Make it happen.
I was going to say it's time. It's very much time. You speak about it all the time, and it's time to do it. But we will assist in that, because it's, to be all together in New York City would be fabulous. It would be great.
We're gonna make it happen, Ryan. Don't worry. If you're coming all the way from Texas, Megan, and I know exactly where he is because I lived in the next town over. So look, we're gonna make it happen, Ryan.
Yes. Now on Tuesday you were in Houston area, Tina.
I'm still in Texas, girlfriend. I'm leaving tomorrow. I go to North Carolina tomorrow. So this time is just like, I don't know how you do it, Meg. Whew, the
I
time
know.
changes.
The central time is a bear, because there's a big difference between 4 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the morning. It's a big difference. Yeah. So it's yes, yes, and yes. So Brian, we were speaking about essentially Stephen Covey and his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And this week, Heather Parody is subbing for Glenn, who's in Italy with his daughter. And we were just talking about different points of it. So you're on the hot seat tonight, Brian. There's normally 4 or 5 women in here, and sometimes Rodney pops in, and a few other people. So you're here tonight. But Tina and I have been talking about and I have dealt with the condition of autism throughout your life. And but you, to me, as I said, you're a champion of mine, and how you're navigating social media and what you're doing. Stephen Covey does not believe that it's about nurture nature, meaning seven habits of highly effective people, which you are. But he feels that it's a choice. I'd like to ask you, Brian. I mean, you are every day dealing with something. But you are a highly effective person, and in what you do in your community, in your career. How much do you agree or disagree that there isn't any bearing on that habit of highly effective people with choice? I mean, how does choice factor into where you are today?
Well, I think choice is a big factor. I have gone against the grains quite a bit. All the glory, though, to my parents. But there are some things that I did that maybe they weren't the biggest fans of, like connecting with people all over the world on Clubhouse. But I just keep going every day. You know, I've had some things that didn't work out in life, like pursuing personal training didn't work out for me. Never had any clients. This was like about a decade ago, though. But God gives different paths, and at that time when it didn't work out, I didn't have much in terms of community at the time. What I knew was work, home, and the church I grew up at. And then once I began to not go to the church I grew up at, that's when community really started to happen for me. So I chose to leave there to pursue having community, and so many steps along the way led into networking, and I choose also not to just settle for having a part-time job and Social Security. So I mean, I talk so openly about government stuff, but but it is really important to me. As good as it is, I believe I'm destined for keynote speaking. I don't know if I'm destined necessarily for entrepreneurship. I don't consider myself the greatest salesperson, but I do choose to see where things can go, not just for my regular job of working for a nonprofit, but also where I can go in other areas of life. And I understand that some of these things are scary for my immediate family. That's why I don't always talk about certain things with them. And it's also scary for me too, because I've been known to have very simple tax forms every year, and I don't know how much longer they might be so simple, especially because I have earned a little bit of money through Facebook Reels. So basically
Wow.
Yeah. So
I can't believe how fast time is going, Meg. This hour has went by so fast.
So fast. No, I know, Tina. And we're just going to wrap this up, Brian, in that we're talking about propelling your business in life, and we're here, and I've been reading the comments, Brian, underneath, and it's essentially from the Facebook group, and people are just commenting how inspiring you are, how motivating you are, how amazing you are, and Veronica Atkins says, "Amen to."
Amen to that, Brian.
Brian, yes. It's very small. But we can't stop, guys. It's about propelling, that little propeller then spins and spins and spins. And every day in every way, we're just getting better and better. But we need each other. Our vibe, as you say, Tina, all the time, is our tribe. And I've learned over time, Brian, and I've as Barbara Majeski says, Meg, don't share how old you are. Just say you're on the 7th floor, And but what I'm saying is that over these years, I've learned that it is often sometimes better not to just share your guts. Let God, be in that conversation with God and be guided with things. What would you say to that, Tina, about, I don't want to say competition, but what I'm saying is just, not always putting forth.
Not always putting forth.
Well, meaning I can think of several instances where I shared ideas that I was going to do, whatever, and that person basically copied those thoughts and ideas.
Oh my gosh. So, Meg, I am so not in competition. Some people are afraid to share their stuff. And, the only competition I have is myself. That's it.
Right.
Because if you think about the greats in life, let's talk about Beyonce really quick. She takes a little bit from everyone, and then just makes
Right.
it great. So I think there's nothing wrong. You can guarantee, Meg, I'm loving how you're doing this whole thing. I do my StreamYards, but not quite like this. So I can guarantee you next year, next month, 2 months, I'll probably be doing something like this. You may be doing something I'm doing. Again, it's all about collaborating so we can all grow your business, propel your business, your 5 C's: clarity, courage, commitment. I can't see the others, but I know they're there.
Clarity and then confidence, commitment to it, and then compassion. Compassion is for yourself, the biggest important piece. Like you were saying, Brian, it's give yourself a break. It's not about beating yourself up, because if you do that, then I can guarantee you will not do it. Give yourself
Yep.
a break.
Thank you again for having me, Meg.
Thank you for joining us. It really has been a delight to have you. And Brian, I don't think you're here, but her colleague Renee has put it up at her book. And what is the title again, my dear?
It is No More Traumedies. I don't know if Deb can put the link in that Renee made there. As I mentioned, when you order the book, you're going to get a free course. And the course, Brian, I know you're going to love it because it's going to teach you how to share your story from the mountain top, not the valley. And in order to heal yourself, in order to make a change in the world, you have to be able to share your story. So if you want to share your story, get the book, and the course comes for free. It's just $27. That's all. Thank you, guys.
So it's part of growth, Brian, part of growth.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Well, thanks for coming, Brian.
Yes.
Let me, maybe this is too much to ask Debbie, but can you do a screenshot, Debbie?
I can do it. I got you.
Okay.
I took it.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, guys. Well, thanks so much and have a blessed night. See you again.
Bye.
Next
See you
week.
guys.
See ya.
Debbie, you there?